This is Lockie Hume, and you're listening to the Crowject.
Betts with an opportunity about 50 metres out. Oh, yes! 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 The excitement machine, McLeod. Left foot goal, don't tell me. He's a superstar, tell me. Oh! Bounces straight up, leaves a path the ball.
It's time for the Crowject podcast, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got a big episode for you tonight. But first off, thanks to our sponsors, Paymed SA, Trojan Aluminium, and Nathaniel's Coffee, and Panini. My name's Peter, but it's not just me on the pod tonight. I've got Ben over to my left, or right.
Good evening, how are we?
Good. We also got Leighton as well.
Hello, how you going?
Yeah, good. And we've got a very special guest tonight. We don't have Damon, we don't have Elodie, we don't have Cream, but we have the Simpsons meme lord himself when it comes to all things GIF, in daily touch of the fumbles operator, and of course, friend of the pod, Tom Richardson. How are you, mate?
G'day, guys. Thanks for having me. Very well.
All right. So, Tom, thank you so much for coming on. Now, we were asking you beforehand, what's your favourite Crows memory that you have?
Is it this weekend?
This weekend probably isn't going down in the history books.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And obviously, a few sort of matches stick out. In the last couple of years, my son's gotten really into the footy, so I've been going along with him. So kind of between us, the Melbourne game of last year was, a real standout, and really one of our best wins I think we've ever had.
You got to ring the bell?
Exactly. He has played the last 2 minutes of that so many times I could recite that that commentary. Yeah, exactly. But probably going back, there's not a single memory, but there's sort of an era that I'm fond of, because when I moved to Melbourne when in my early 20s, so in the sort of 2001-2 season, I moved from Melbourne and then Canberra. So sort of following the Crows was a good way of sort of staying connected with Adelaide, particularly in Melbourne where they're footy obsessed. And 2001 is in a kind of interesting year because we were sort of a middling team. We just made the finals and then got absolutely smashed in the first final by Carlton just before they became terrible.
Yeah.
And but for some reason we won all of our Melbourne games. So I'd go along to every Melbourne game and have a great win. And then I'd go home and lose the next week against a much worse opponent. It was
didn't matter to you?
Strange season, but no, it mattered to me. But it kind of made it a bit more special that I'd be going along to the MCG and Colonial Stadium, I think it was then, and always seeing these amazing wins. And probably the one that stands out was this game against Richmond, where we'd been playing like pretty average and a bit like the last few weeks, actually missing goals excessively. And we were down by about 4 goals at half time and had been sort of spraying. And I think it might have been Adam Richardson's last game for the club. Back in the days before you rotated the bench a lot, they kind of gave him one more half to make his mark. And his
memorial half.
So they benched him for the whole second half. I don't think he was injured. I think they just said, right, well, that's enough of that.
Yeah,
halfway through the game, they decided that experiment had failed.
We've seen enough of you.
We love your hustle.
They came out in the third quarter and kicked 9 goals straight, not a single behind. And there's just this momentum at the MCG. There weren't many of us Pro supporters there, but you're thinking maybe if we can just kick another goal, we'll be within touching distance and maybe we can pull off something. And then suddenly we're in front, and then suddenly we're a mile in front, and it turns so quickly. And that was a really nice memory.
Awesome.
So were you one of the rare Crows fans who were happy for that 2002 final between Crows and Melbourne to be played in Melbourne?
No, I was pissed off. I was fuming about that. I was so angry because that had happened in the pre-season as well, I was much more obsessed about it back then. So I was even annoyed about the pre-season one where we lost to Richmond in the final because we had to play at the MCG. But I thought, well, it's just the pre-season, so I guess that doesn't matter. And then I probably wouldn't have cared because I think we knew about it before the finals were even played, and I thought, well, that's okay. But then we went out in the first week of the finals and had the worst game we could possibly have played to Brisbane. I think we got like 3 goals or something. Yeah. It was just a terrible, terrible game. And it just felt like we're going to have to travel again, and we're a lot worse than we thought we were. And yeah, I mean, look, in hindsight, it was an amazing game, and I'm glad I was there. And it's one of those ones to treasure. But I think if we hadn't had to do that, we might have actually pushed on to a grand final.
What could have been?
Memories.
I remember
It's a little bit like that showdown final, which none of us would trade because it was such a great. We won the showdown final, but had we not lost to St Kilda the week before, we'd probably have pushed on to a grand final.
Another home prelim. Don't have to go to West Coast over again.
Yeah, Robert Harvey going off in that 05.
Yeah, the classic low-scoring game.
Yeah, the Neil Craig Crowbots were up and about for that one, that's for sure. I remember from that 02 final series, the advertiser had this whole thing of I'm seeing red. This was before in Daily, I think.
Well, I would have... No, just before my time at the advertiser, actually, I reckon.
But they had this spread, it was sponsored by West End, and it was I'm seeing red to send in this petition, that sort of thing, and send it to AFL House from memory.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
it was pretty galling, to be honest. Because and it was sort of what formed my view that we can't win a grand final, we can't make a grand final, win a grand final unless we get top two, because you need to play 2 home finals basically to get there from interstate.
And we did that in 2017, but we selected Andy Oldham. So
I'm not sure he was the entire difference.
Anyway, we need to talk about. We're obligated to talk about this game. Unfortunately, with the Crowies getting up by how much, Benny Mac?
We won by.
Put you on the spot.
29 points.
39.
39.
39. I think.
31.
31.
31. Okay.
Got there in the end.
We're not a math podcast.
Yeah, we're not a maths podcast. Now, Cream has done the run sheet for us, and he said, Crows win, that's good. Lose second half, that's bad. Tom, what was your take on the game, my man?
Yeah, that was a bit Simpson-esque, that summary.
Yeah. That's bad.
Yeah, look, it was... We needed a win. It was,
And we got it.
Yeah.
In the wet.
Blew another position on the draft ladder, but nonetheless, I think the Naders were getting a bit restless with the form line and been playing okay, but I think at this point we just needed a win, and we got a win. Wasn't a memorable win. The first quarter was quite good.
Would you say we're carrying momentum into the bye?
No, but I think the bye has come at a good time for everyone.
Yeah. We're in winning form at the bye, technically.
Yeah.
Certainly a good time for me. It's all getting a little bit same old, these, gallant losses where we can't kick straight.
Yeah. Does it make it hard to write content for Touch of the Fumbles?
Oh, yeah. I was resorted to writing poetry last week. So.
Oh, yes. That was a good article.
Thank you.
Was your tweet about your dogs a part of procrastination?
No, I'm sort of... I'm trying to shake up the content, so it's a little bit dog focused, a little bit primarily Crows focused these days, and maybe 5% state politics, which is actually what I professionally do. So,
so you obligate the 5% is obligation of tweets, and
I used to do a lot more news based content, especially when I was at 9, but I found that I just got into arguments and I wasn't enjoying being on Twitter. So it's much more fun just tweeting banter about football. You kind of deal with a nicer level of people. Really.
Yeah. Or you're dealing with Jack Hudson just trying to fire back Simpsons gifts. Yeah, Jack, I know you're listening, mate. Benny Mac, Fogg's kick, 65 metres out. You thought, that's good.
That was beautiful.
Filthy quiet. That's bad.
Well, yeah, Fogg's goal from 65 out was beautiful. And I'll tell you what, from the hill, looking at him from behind with the 32 on the back, he looked a little similar in that moment to another 32 of the past. But
yes.
Great goal. Fogg's back.
Fogg's back.
He's back. He's he played against West Coast, but he's back.
I think we just had heaps of opportunities to give him. Like we won the centre clearances. We had heaps inside 50s. Fogg hasn't been getting that for ages.
We kicked it to him instead of 5 metres above his head.
Yeah. He was a bit more aerial this time, don't you reckon, Tom? He was getting up and about.
And I don't think it was that goal, but there was a point later in the game where he actually burned off an opponent, which I can't remember him ever doing.
Yeah.
And that was, that was a really good sign. I think he didn't kick a goal, he passed it.
Yeah, he set up a couple,
Yeah, set up a goal, but that was good to see.
Yeah, and we also had Paddy Parnell, a.k.a. the kid from the Wonder Years, made his debut. That's good. Then you hurt his leg, got a corky. That's bad. So, Leighton...
he looked great.
Yeah.
He just always kicked it. one handball.
Yeah, well, I was going to say he only had the one handball, isn't that right? Yeah.
So the anti-Matt Crouch.
Did a couple of them turned over, but that's all right.
Yeah.
You know?
In the wet, that's all you need to do. He looked good, though. He reminded me of like a younger Laird.
A very younger Laird.
It was timely too because of the mid-season draft this week. Because I literally was, I think I did tweet this, but I was literally thinking, why are we so exercised by this draft where we haven't even, the guy we got last year hasn't even got a game, and then bang, he gets a game. And
I reckon the club just ran, the mid-season draft. I remember that Patrick guy.
Well, I think there might have been a bit of that because they did announce it quite early in the week, just before the draft. So
he probably threw his broom down in disgust and said, I'm not cleaning up anymore.
There has been a little bit of that where they elevate guys for AFL games who, you know, aren't sort of jumping out at you from the stats on the Sandful games. So, I mean, Fogg got back in the side off the back of a performance that didn't seem to be an amazing performance, but I guess they know more about what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, you'd hope so.
Yeah, I would presume at the bare minimum that they know more than we do.
But we have to talk about one Tex. He had a stellar game out, didn't he, Benny Mac?
He did. I almost thought he was a little bit too unselfish at times. There were a few that he gave off and one that he tried to give off that didn't quite work in the last quarter to Fogarty that he, almost detrimentally, he was a little bit unselfish in this game. But, you know, he still kicked 3, was still up and around the ground.
3-1,
had a great game. So I suppose we win. He kicks 3 goals. He can't complain too much. But
and more accurately as well.
Yep.
And McAdam kicked 3. He's good. He's been a consistent forward.
Was he rocking the sleeves this weekend?
Oh, of course.
He was.
Him and Lockie Murphy.
Don't mention that name.
Oh, 2 sleeves. Now, what's your thoughts, Tom? Cream, who's usually on the pod, says that only one person on the team is allowed to wear long sleeves.
On any given team or on our team?
On our team.
Yeah.
So the opposition can have one?
On any given team, yeah.
On any given team?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, just the one across the board?
For each team, one player.
Yeah.
Well, it would be Seedsman, but he's not
sleeves.
playing.
Yeah. So your thoughts on 2 in the game? Do you reckon they should be burnt at the stake or?
That might be excessive.
Yeah. AFLPA might rain down on that. But of course,
I'm a fan of the long sleeves. I think they are a good look.
Yeah, svelte, aren't they? We've got 2 that are rocking the long sleeves tonight, so that's good. Continued consistency from Haitley as well. Tom, do you reckon he's cemented his spot in our midfield rotation?
Well, he certainly has for now, and he's certainly looking like he's coming on, which is great news because I'm sure there were a few doubters over the last 12 months.
Yeah. He had 25 touches, which is impressive because he didn't really stay in the middle much. Like
he only had 1 centre bounce attendance.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole game.
So even with that, with our persistence to play Laird, Crouch, and Keys in the middle for every centre bounce,
he managed to get around it still.
Yeah.
He's got a touch of the Crouches though, because he's 6 kicks and 19 handballs.
Oh,
what are you doing? Oh well, could be worse. Could just be Matt Crouch. But speaking of that, Matt Crouch, what does he have to offer? Now, we've got here, feel free to call Cream on 04. I'll just flag that one and put in the beeps at certain positions, probably just beep the 04. Because apparently Cream will tell you. But Benny Mac, your thoughts on what Crouch has to offer? Was it the hill up and about? Was there anyone on the hill?
All 7 of us were really up and about and giving Matt a cheer every time he kicked the ball instead of handballing. But pretty consistent thoughts up on the hill that he shouldn't really be playing in the midfield, to be perfectly honest. I would love to see Haitley in there. Haitley, Berry, Laird as a midfield trio.
Where else would he play though?
That's the problem. Not in the AFL would be my first choice, to be perfectly honest.
Really? He's only, how old is he? He's only, 27,
27 or 28? Yeah. He's not damaging enough with his foot, and I just think we have too many sort of slower players, and when he gets the ball, he's, dishing a handball to a bloke who's got a guy right behind him. He's just not offering enough for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I feel uncomfortable about the level of hate the guy gets because he was one of our 2 or 3 best players in a grand final. Not a very good grand final. In fact, a horrible one, but club champion. I mean, There's only one or two club champions that I'm comfortable with everyone berating, and that's because he plays for Geelong now.
Dog.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping if the team were better, I think his role would be better and would not stand out so egregiously. Maybe.
Yeah.
And there was like a bit of backlash of supposedly within the playing group when he was dropped to the SNFL. So he might just be sort of a cult figure that we sort of need that experience when we haven't.
That's true.
When everyone says play the kids, we still are. We're pretty much playing the kids every week. There's not.
Still have the younger side.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only a real handful of those players sort of between 100 and 200, 250 games. I mean, you've got a whole bunch of guys on sort of 250 plus or
and
200
with Slow
plus.
now, it's probably justified to play Crouch the rest of the season.
Yeah. So we've got from a friend of the pod and a big fan of all things Crom, Sean Craig Murphy. You can listen to him 9 to 12s weekdays on SAFM. He's sent in a voice message for us.
Pew, 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 pew. How good. He was great, wasn't he? 5-minute mark of the first quarter, BOG, easily. 2 kicks, 100% kicking disposal efficiency, or whatever it is. Look, he did go down a little bit from there, but even that, the corky at the end, that was spectacular. I mean, I don't know about you, but I thought he'd seriously done his shoulder. So corky, great result. Does he get a stat for that? He was good. I just love the way he sort of ran. Just the way he ran. Even his corky sounds like one of those, teen American movies. No, that was Porky's, wasn't it?
Oh,
Porky's could work. Pew, 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 pew.
So I think that we've found Patrick Parnell's biggest fan already.
yeah, I was going to say,
After game
SCM. He's all around him. Just a pew, pew, pew. Oh, my God. Well, we have to give a call to, I guess, to one Anthony Cream as well, just to see what he's up to at the present time. Leighton's madly dialing things in and hopefully connect him through the
We'll see how we go.
the Telstra exchange, and the little hamster there will run around on a wheel and hopefully get us connected very, very soon.
He probably won't pick up now.
No, he probably won't.
Hello, Anthony speaking.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. We were instructed.
Hello, how are we?
Good. We were instructed by your run sheet to call you about Crouch.
Yeah, we already read your name.
That's right.
We already read your number out on the air, mate. How are you?
Okay, yeah, good, thanks.
Now, Cream, can you just explain, one, why you're not here, and two, can you say hello to friend of the pod, Tom Richardson, who is a Simpsons GIF meme lord?
Oh, Richo. I mean, if he's into Simpsons memes, then he's a good bloke. But I have the spicy cough at the minute. Well, to be honest, I feel fine, but for precautionary reasons, I'm staying at home. Don't want to get any of you crook. But can we move on to Matt Crouch, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been boiling away. You can just tell.
Okay, so he came back against Geelong. And when he was going to come back for Geelong, I said that I couldn't wait for him to have 25 handballs and no tackles. And I think he actually had a few tackles. He might have had 5 or 6 against Geelong, but on the weekend just gone, he only had 2. You break down his stats, and he had 9 kicks and 18 handballs. We expect him to handball 20 times a game. He had 154 metres gained from his 9 kicks, and 3 of them were the clangers. He only had 2 tackles. And I just don't know what his point is in the team if he's blocking a spot that a young kid could take.
Now, Cream, that's your point. And now for the counterpoint, I'm just going to do a hospital handball over to Tom Richardson.
No pressure. I think it's a reasonable debate to be had.
Crap.
But I guess if you're saying he's taking up a kid's spot, then what? We all need to get used to losing more. Centre bounces, losing. Fewer clearances. Potentially, I mean, I think you've got to get the balance right as well in terms of confidence and game time, and with the younger players, you can't if you sort of just start from scratch, then you're basically like Gold Coast or GWS in their first year, where everyone's 18, 19, 20, and you get smashed every week. we don't have a lot of balance with those sort of 25, 26, 27-year-old players. And the ones that we do have are largely injured anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure he's keeping anyone out. Maybe, the rotations could be done, slightly more generously.
I'd like to see Schoenberg get more of a run. Obviously, he was the sub on the weekend.
Yeah, he did.
He got a...
he did stuff all.
It was
his
currently
stat was really interesting because he got 0 kicks, 0 handballs, 0 tackles, 0 anything, but 0... What do they call it now? Not Dream Team points, but fantasy points. But 3 Supercoach points.
Correct, yeah. And he got a sandwich as well.
He got a possession without a disposal because he got tackled after gaining 4 meters.
Hey.
Oh, beautiful. I guess I just look at it and I'm like, if Matt Crouch is 25 to 27, what does he bring to the team in terms of leadership? He's not a leader. He's not in a leadership group. Mm-hmm. If you look at his contested possession numbers, we know he's not an in and under player, but it's weird. Ben Keys has come in and everyone's raved about him. Everyone knows he's essentially the leader in that midfield, particularly with Sloan out.
But Cream, do you know that he was delisted by Brisbane?
You're joking.
No.
Even though Sloan's, I think we're all resigned to the fact that he's not going to be playing full-time midfield anymore. I think I'm just expecting more out of Matt Crouch and knowing that he's not going to be in our future.
Well, if that's the other thing, I mean, if he's genuinely not going to be in the future, then playing him in the SANFL every week is only going to devalue any trade you might be able to, put up for him. And if you know that this isn't our year for... a flag, let alone anything else.
You're joking.
I might have to break it to you. No, I don't think we're in contention this year. But, if the aim of the game is to maximise a potential trade, then you probably need to keep doing what we're doing.
So potential straight swap, Jason Horne-Francis for Crouch.
Yeah, they need more handballers at North Melbourne, don't they?
I guess at the end of the day, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, he was dropped. And he went back to the SANFL and he got brought back off the game where Rob had 255 Supercoach points or whatever, and he had 36 touches. And they probably sent him back to work on his defensive game and his tackling and everything like that. And he had one good game and then he fell away again on the weekend, and Haitley's just... Haitley looks 10 times better than he does. So I don't know whether it's a matter of sending him back again and being like, you really need to put more pressure on around the ball when you've got blokes like Berry laying 10 tackles a game. So I don't know. Watch his space.
Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to give your thoughts to Cream, I've read out his number already. So you can give him a serve that way. And, I guess, Cream, anything else to get off your chest?
Not really. I'm sorry I couldn't be there to meet Tom, but if you want to let him know where I work, if he doesn't know already, he can come in. I'll buy him a beer.
Well, we've already read out your number on the air. Why don't you just bloody tell him?
Yeah, come on down to the Marion Hotel. I'll buy you a beer.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. All right, Cream. Love you. Bye.
Love you, mate.
That's Cream. He's an enigma. He exists. Anyway, so I guess some of the other things to talk about from the game as well. The new DMAC that we've got written down here. Saligoat as well.
It's a bit rough on the young man.
As long as he doesn't break anyone's jaws, then it's his final season. So
Yeah. After 14 years of not doing that.
So we've said he's a new DMAC only because of the fact he usually gets about 1 kilometre running per disposal.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. So he tends to find his own teammates though on occasion.
Yeah. So he's like the Dum. No, he's not the ack, I guess, at the end. Rory Laird and Brodie Smith, fantastic too. I think Laird was racking them up something fierce. 33 disposals to Laird.
Yeah. The wet really suits his sort of style of game.
Yeah, get it under.
I'm being facetious, by the way. I love DMAC. It's given me lots of material over the years as well.
Oh, we love that boy. So stern. Such a chiseled face, isn't he, Ben?
Oh, he's beautiful.
Radiating. Now, some of the highlights, stats to highlight as well. We've got hit-outs inside 50s and kicked a handball as well. So 1.2 to 1.7. Eagles handball, happy and slippery conditions. Well, they sort of got to train in that for the last 2 weeks over in Perth because they've been pissing down there. But
we had more handballs than them.
Did we?
The West Coast had 125 handballs and we had 166.
Oh, how many
come on.
How many did Crouch get? No, I'm kidding. But
The other thing on Crouch, I would note, he's quite useful for your multi because you can rely on him to get 25 possessions.
Yeah.
I had him for 30 on the weekend, unfortunately. I thought the wet weather might have suited, but
The one that let my multi down was Thilthorpe's one goal.
Yeah, he was probably the one downside of this game. He didn't really get up and about.
tough day for a big man. I'll let him off for that one.
Yeah,
all the other big men.
All the other ones played well, but
he didn't have much presence from what I could see. I went and watched the broadcast because my son was not well, but he looked a bit lost to me.
yeah.
I think coming back from sort of an injury to a young guy, in second year, probably
Second year blues used to be a thing.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to touch on something because this game was the lowest ever crowd for the home game with no COVID restrictions. The last one was the 2011 Crows versus Sydney game, which
Your favourite game. Similar conditions.
Yeah, equally poor conditions. Although that game there was misting the whole game with no wind. And that's why I think the scoreline was like 59 to 54 off the top of my head. Like it was ultra low. But Vardy Magic put up the tweet about this. What were some of the reasons for it? Bad weather, tick. Bad form, yeah. Bad opposition, hell yeah. Bad time slot, yes. COVID concerns, yeah. But the one thing I talked about as well was cost of living, about fuel prices and everything else like that. But I know you mentioned, Tom, about your son being sick.
Yeah, so
I was in the same position too, bloody kids. But what? Any other reasons you reckon people wouldn't be going?
Oh, well, amateur footy.
Yeah,
Saturday afternoon at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever time it started. It's possibly the worst time slot of any over the weekend, midday Saturday. So I don't think it's bad. I thought 22 was more than what I was expecting, really.
I was sort of expecting around there.
Walking in, it was a bit grim looking around the stadium. I think the members, you could count how many people were in there on about two hands. But
it's a bit odd though when you'd be more likely than not to get a win that you haven't had for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we were pretty keen to go, and then I think finally when he realised he was not well enough and then looked outside, he started to become less upset about it. And thought, actually, maybe this isn't so bad after all. But
no, fair enough. I guess we're going to talk about some of the reactions and comments from the listeners, etc. Now, Tom, being the Twitter aficionado that you are there any sort of reactions that you see that sort of get up your goat, that sort of thing, that you sort of like just some hot takes that you think to yourself, no, they're freezing cold, or that sort of your sort of Twitter list managers, that sort of thing?
I think that's all part of, that's what Twitter's there for in some ways, certainly, footy Twitter. But I guess, I'm being a massive hypocrite because I've been writing this column now for, almost a decade, and for most of it we've been a pretty good side, and I've been complaining about us week after week.
Yeah.
And now we're not a good side in any way, and I'm usually more upbeat than
trying to
not.
find positives.
Yeah, I am, and I think you kind of have to at the moment. I do think we need a sense of perspective about where we're at compared to maybe other teams who've been in a similar position. To be kind of writing off players because they're not superstars after 5 games just seems a little premature. And and to be complaining that the whole rebuild has failed because we've lost 5 in a row. I mean, that's what a rebuild is.
Part of it, yeah.
You lose a lot of games. You blood players, some of whom don't go on to become what you would hope, and some of them do.
Yeah, and we were saying off air, like, in previous seasons, we're not used to this because in previous seasons we've had like developing players like Dangerfield have a few seasons to develop in a good side, so there's no big focus on him like there is on the younger guys this season or the last couple.
Actually, probably the one that does get up my nose a bit is the Zach Ogilvie bandwagon.
Yeah.
The guy's recruited some of our best players. Like, we haven't kept them, but he's recruited.
They got him in the doors.
And, I would have thought it's much harder to identify good players lower down the draft. And, admittedly, we've had some issues with our higher draft picks recently, but we've got some gems, and we've just discussed one of them, lower down, second or third sort of round. And if you think back to before his time in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, when we would just keep, using our first round draft picks on sort of mobile ruckman forward types who played about 5 games.
Yeah.
Fergus Watts.
Fergus Watts. Matthew Smith.
Or Lawrence Angwin has been.
Yeah, Angwin. Yeah.
More of that on School Crow, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, I'm just going to go over to Twitter first. Did you want to go through them, Benny Mac? I've got them up here.
Either or, you can do those ones. I'll go Facebook if you want.
Oh, here we go. First off, we've got Jade at Wallflower. Jade, who says, all I have to say is Saligo was a god. Surely a lot for a rising star nom this year. Give that one a tick. If I can... Fat fingers here. We got Moni Todra, who says, even with a smaller crowd, there were a number of times the crowd tried to establish a throwback Adelaide chant, only for it to be squashed by some fake hype anthem over the speakers. It's a shame. That first half was dynamite, though. We need to talk about this. How many boomers have we seen going off about the fact that there's a bit of doof that plays after the games?
Too much music, too many lights.
To be fair,
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm all right with it when we're winning, but in
Benny the Boomer, yeah.
GWS, if I heard Lenny Kravitz, I want to fly away after a GWS goal one more
I
time.
think that's the problem, that they have a certain rotation of tracks which are not universally
Not
very
great.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What track should they play? Like Shut Up in Your Face by Joe Dolce?
That would be different.
That's an
Yeah.
opposition goal tune.
Yeah,
I'd go for
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
I did see someone point this out, and I would agree with it. The music that they've now settled on in the minute leading up to the first bounce is actually very good. this
Yeah,
Far
correct. Rather than just it felt like Hans Zimmer was doing the intro to to the games in like 2017, 2018. You're just expecting a blah from Batman Begins. Anyway, we got Ramses Red says, I'm very worried about Tilthorpe. Please tell me he won't be a bust. Ramses, he won't.
He won't.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no.
That's yeah. Chris Dangerfield says good. Richie McKinnon says overall thoughts on Hinge. I think he's developing well and definitely has a spot. Wonder if they could trial him as a mid for a bit. 23 years old, 190 centimetres, 91 kilos, has some pace and agility. Couldn't be any worse than Crouch. Shrug.
I do like his composure. He's a good player. Him and Cook are sort of on the same level for me.
It was it Hinge who actually set up what became the free kick that won the showdown?
It could have been, yeah.
No, that started with Frampton.
It started with Frampton.
Started with
and
Frampton.
was it
20-metre
Hinge who
kick,
got
mwah.
it in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Hinge got in the middle
Yeah.
towards
Yeah.
Murphy.
That's still Frampton. Sorry. Who we got? We've got in Cromwell Trust. I wonder who you guys for. Rochelle early in the season, Saligo the last few weeks, and today Parnell show why we need to be playing these kids. They bring an energy and enthusiasm that becomes infectious to the rest of the team. I want to see more of them and the others that are being left out. Sean Craig Murphy. Yeah, we heard him before. Up to the 5-minute mark of the first quarter, Paddy was BOG. Grin. Filthy, clearly playing injured. Not sure why, ? Buys come at a great time. Most of the defence is banged up. We won. Sure, it'd be nice to have won by 50 points, but I'm going to enjoy the win. Pete Nash says, Parnell composure, tick. Walker BOG. Big tick there. Fog intensity, tick as well. Yes, he got into a Saligo class. Yes, he's got ticks as well. And McAdam presence? Yes, big tick there. Filthy getting minutes in the ruck, tick, even though he's injured apparently. Haley and Berry are now locks for midfield roles. Yes. I'll give one more real quick. Who else we got here? We got Jordan Dawson Enjoyer says, we kicked fairly straight, so that was good.
For the first half.
Yeah, for
It's
the
weird,
first half.
it's weird we're doing that in the wet. But
Yeah.
that third quarter, we dominated play. It was in our forward half for most of the quarter, but then I think we lost that quarter.
Yeah, we kicked 1 goal 4 and West Coast kicked 2 goal 1.
Yeah, disappointing, but we still won.
That's it. I think
One of those wet days.
made a simple tweet afterward. A win's a win.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. And if we jump over to Facebook, we have got Ruben Barnes saying, I'm not sure I've ever been pissed off by a win.
I have
Yeah,
many a time.
Brendan McGarrigan, friend of the podcast and Patreon, just said, we win. We indeed did. We have got Drew Corner, who said, is it possible that we have worked out how to play Fog and Tex in the same team? Maybe. Did our third and fourth quarter efforts deserve the win? Maybe. Am I happy we kicked more goals than points? Definitely. A win is a win. Hopefully gives the boys some confidence going into the mid-season break.
yeah. I never got that chat of Fogarty and Tex can't play in the same team
Yeah.
because we had him and those two and Thilthorpe, and yes, Thilthorpe didn't perform perfectly, but it was still a good forward line.
Yeah. And lastly, we have David Purdy, who says, a 5-goal win in the wet, I'll take it.
Cool.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Now, did we have anything on Telby? I don't think we had anyone that sent anything in.
I'm not sure. I haven't checked.
Jeez, Dom wasn't on it.
I'll have a quick look. But Benny Mac, we've got some SANFL results, don't we?
We do. So the double header on Saturday, if anyone's stuck around for the doublers versus the Crows. Sturt ran out winners 11-10, 76 to 8-7, 55. And Cream has written here that Abe Davis, Ben Davis's little brother, I think. I can't remember exactly the relation. Kicked 6 goals for Sturt. So he really put us to the sword there. I'm going to be honest, I didn't stay back to watch this one. I was drenched and didn't get home, really.
It didn't look like anyone did. Whose idea is the curtain closer?
Yeah, I was going to say, it would have made a lot of sense to put it early afternoon before the game. But
yeah, I think that comes back to the time slot of 1:15 start time.
Yeah, it would have had to be like a 9 o'clock start.
Yeah.
Well, the one advantage of it was that Schoenberg got to play a second game for the day after his 5-minute appearance at the end of the AFL game.
Yeah, he wasn't too puffed. he just didn't want to do don't you do 10 laps if you're the sub and don't get on or something?
Yeah, I think so. So he was like, oh, coach, just put me in the SANFL. It's all right.
Yeah.
So I'll just get the standout stats. Billy Frampton had 26 disposals, including 24 kicks. Gallant, Himmelberg and Newchurch all kicked 2 goals each.
Impressive.
We had Schoenberg had 10 tackles, 18 disposals, kicked 2 points. Not a bad game there. Braden Cook, 19 disposals.
And 8 tackles.
8 tackles, indeed. And Lockie Scholl, 17 touches. Kieran Strawn had an amount of hit-outs that I can't see.
48.
There we go.
It's a great app, isn't it?
It absolutely is. We love the SANFL up here.
It's on the rundown.
Yeah, just to read the run sheet.
Oh, I didn't even know it was there. Well, Matty Wright, I'll go down to him. He had an unusually quiet game for his performance in the SANFL. Only 6 touches and didn't kick a goal. So, maybe he's slipping.
He's not a wet weather specialist.
He isn't. Oh. Except for that goal that he kicked against Geelong in 2013 or 12 to ice the game. It was a good one.
Good times.
Indeed.
Good times.
That was another game where it was pissing down at Amy Stadium. So.
Bad times. Now, you didn't hang around to watch that one, did you, Tom? I know you weren't there, but you didn't get out the SANFL app and fire up the 240p stream, did you?
I didn't, no, and I have been trying to watch a few of the Crows SANFL games. It's actually quite enjoyable. When it's one of the fun parts of being in a rebuild, which I had no interest in before when they first joined the SANFL, that that the majority of the reserve side are aspiring, first grade players.
Whereas in the first few years, you knew they're not going to get a game.
No, exactly. They were, we knew who our 22 was. Yeah. But now we have no idea really who our 22 will be in maybe 3-4 years. So it's really interesting seeing these young players develop, and when they're playing well, you kind of get a sense of what they might bring to the team. So, I think that's much as the purists really hate the fact that the club has a SANFL team. Being able to see them play together is actually a really good sort of window into where we might be heading.
Definitely. So I guess we need to talk about our Patreon as well, patreon.com/Crowject as well. And we have all sorts of things that are coming on there. We just recorded a very special Get You Crowing, didn't we, Leighton?
Yes, we did, all about the fabric of our club, which you can pre-order now at our crowject.bigcartel.com site. That will be coming out later in the week.
Yeah, and use the code CROMDUBS for 20% off. Yeah. And we also got our list of patrons, which we'll get to later. But we're just going to be right back after this break. All right, we're back. So we're going to go around the grounds real quick. And do we have to get up the pretty icons and pictures? Or
Yes.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Cream, for getting all those up, you bastard. Now... Who did we have in the Friday night game, Benny Mac?
We started off with Geelong taking down a very inaccurate Western Bulldogs, 12-11-83 to 10-10-70. I think the first quarter the Bulldogs kicked 1 goal 5 to Geelong 7-2, and the game was done at quarter time, to be perfectly honest. Saw a video of Billy Brownless going absolutely nuts on TikTok the other day after that one, which was pretty good to see.
Wasn't there an NBA player in attendance too?
Indeed, Dame Lillard of the Portland Trailblazers.
Yes.
I always think they're going
Around
to
the
be
ring.
so confused whenever they watch it.
It's back and forth, back and forth. Tom, who's some of your favourite celebrities that have turned up at footy games that you're wondering what the hell are they doing there?
Yeah.
Lionel Richie in the 2010 rematch when he was doing the singing there after Meatloaf. Yeah.
Yeah, was that the Meatloaf one?
Yeah, that was so they had the draw and then somehow they
They managed to get.
they ferried out Lionel
I've forgotten
Richie.
That, yeah.
Just fixed that one.
Angry Anderson back in the early 90s
Yeah, the 90
in the Batmobile.
91.
Was that 91 or 90?
That was at Waverley.
It was the Waverley one.
Yeah, 1990 maybe.
1990, yeah.
And didn't
Yeah.
they have one where this is another grand final, and it wasn't a performance. It was just a really weird kind of cavalcade where they had Muhammad Ali.
Yes, that was
98.
98.
Yeah, that was 98.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And I don't think he or anyone really understood why he was there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Muhammad Ali. Yay, what?
Just a bit confused, yeah.
Actually, my favourite, it's from the 2017 grand final. At halftime, remember they played Dummy Im?
Oh, yeah.
It was just like no one could hear it. Like, I was at the ground. I don't think they played it on the broadcast.
Oh, really?
But it was just like
bit random, half
random.
Was this in the Crows grand final?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I was just, down in the bar being a nervous wreck at half time, so I missed all of that.
Yep, pretty much.
I couldn't even enjoy the Killers before, and I certainly didn't enjoy them after.
We need a therapy session, I reckon. With that one. Now, next up, we had the Suns and Kangaroos.
We did at TIO Stadium in not quite the same weather that we faced at a similar time. The Suns, the Kangaroos jumped out of the blocks. They were up by 3 goals at quarter time, but Gold Coast reeled them in and won 15-19, 109 to 7-5, 47.
Dominant.
They just smacked them after quarter time, really.
Did you manage to have a look at this one, Tom?
Which one, the Suns?
Yeah, Suns versus...
No, I didn't catch that one. I caught quite a few games on the weekend because we were all sort of shut in for the weekend.
Yep.
But no, I didn't catch the Suns one. But I did note the score lines on each quarter and thought, right, they've sorted that out after the second quarter.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the case. Saturday night, Melbourne, for the first time in a long time, have lost 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
Sydney went to the
That was a
MCG.
cracker, actually.
That was a great game.
That was a
really
great
good.
game.
They did. So Sydney went to the MCG and won 10-13, 73 to 9-7, 61.
Sydney do play the MCG very well.
They do.
So in finals time, you never know if they get on a bit of a run.
I was so for the first quarter, I had to go pick my daughter up from a party and was listening to the broadcast, and Joey Montagna was sort of saying, "Oh, Sydney, it's really tough for them now because in the modern game, if you're down by 5 or 6 goals early, that's it, and then." 5 minutes later, they were a goal down.
Well, it was 5 goals 1 Melbourne to 1 goals 5 in the first quarter. So
It was sort of similar to the Friday night, except they came back more or less straight away.
Yeah. It almost felt like Melbourne were trying to put their foot down in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But
instead of leaving it till third or fourth quarter, which they've done in the first 10 rounds.
Yeah, but the inaccuracy of Sydney sort of spelt that they were sort of still in it.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great game.
And another fantastic game, Sunday afternoon, Collingwood. And, we should get Cream back on the phone. We shouldn't.
No, give him a call. Let him know what your thoughts are on this game.
Yeah, if you don't know, Cream is a Crows and Collingwood supporter.
That's an unfortunate and unusual combination.
Yeah. At least he can afford his own bail. So
So they pulled themselves out of a hole after Chad Wingard thought the game was over and celebrated to the Collingwood cheer squad. Collingwood came back and won by 4 points with a late Ollie Henry goal. He was very influential in the last quarter and pulled them over the line, 72 to 68.
They've had 2 close ones in a row now.
Yeah, 2 4 points, I think.
Yeah. Impressive.
And we closed out the round with really a dominant Fremantle defeating Brisbane by 14 points, 15-9, 99 to 13-7, 85. Brisbane kicked a couple of goals late that made this closer than probably what it really should have been. But
close in the first half. It was actually a real sort of grind in the first half. And
I think Brisbane might have been up at half-time. Maybe by
They were,
marginally.
Yeah. So, short bye round, so only 6 games to go through there. But
it's always a good weekend when Crows win and Port don't play.
Does
that make content for Touch of the Fumbles a bit harder as well?
It does a bit. I was writing it this morning and you kind of... I usually get to a point where I think, right now I've got to reference Port, and then I didn't have anything to write about.
Yeah.
So
just link the Nick Gill Port versus the Bye video. That's all you need to do.
Ah, yes, that's an excellent one. Or just the fact that Hungry Jack's is superior to KFC.
Yeah.
But at least after Hungry Jack's, you don't have to have a shower. So, you know that greasy feeling you get after KFC?
Yes.
That's why they give you the little towelette. Anyway, next up we got Beryl and Cecil of the week, Benny Mac. And do you have any Beryls and Cecils to talk about? Now, we've got to explain to you, Tom. Beryl and Cecils. There's Twitter and Facebook nuffies. It doesn't matter of age. There could be a boomer or not. It could be a Gen Zer. But it's just bad opinions and takes.
Yeah, poor calls, really. And we'll finish it with a big media personality as my Beryl and Cecil of the week this week. But we'll start.
It's not Tom Richardson.
It's not.
No, okay.
So we started with Gusto after the game. His name was Gusto. He's not, we're not jumping into it with Gusto. Normally a 32-point win would be good, but against that rabble of a team and losing the second half, plus Crouch playing the entire game mid over Haitley, Nix needs to go now. No idea. Think Adelaide's window is closing and may need to rebuild.
It's closing. I didn't know it was open.
What?
I did reply asking him what window he suggested was closing, and he said it was the window of this rebuild. I didn't know that was something that we had a terminology for.
But if you're doing the rebuild and the windows are on the house, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a start.
It is.
At least you got council approval. You work in a council, tell us more.
That's it.
Okay.
We move on to Craig in Adelaide Crows Pride the Forum, which, is always...
Yeah, that's a nuffy cesspool.
Absolutely.
I helped to admin that.
He said, what a train wreck that was. And anyone says, but we are rebuilding or but we have the youngest list can seriously eat a... I won't finish the sentence. No excuses for the last 3 quarters of football today. A little bit harsh, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very harsh.
For a team that was realistically, in that last quarter, we were challenged pretty heavily by West Coast, and I thought we responded okay.
On paper, they had like 9 premiership players.
Yeah. I still don't understand why they're so bad, but...
I haven't really been following. I mean, I've been aware of their results, but I haven't really been watching their games. And when the teams came out and I looked at it, I was amazed how good they look on paper.
Yeah.
And, I was sort of aware they'd had these COVID issues earlier in the season, but...
Yeah.
Clearly that's not what is causing their current malaise, whether they had just had no pre-season or...
Did they miss the nightclub?
Well, it's something. Maybe it's a bit... I mean, we weren't this bad, but, in 99, 2000, when we were getting smashed with a premiership side, effectively, maybe just reach a point where the team gets to a certain age, gets to a certain sort of... frame of mind, and you just can't pull it together.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, West Coast did make the grand final in 2015 as well. So they've sort of been up and about for quite a long time.
Yeah, 2018 was sort of their last hurrah to get the premiership, and now they've tried to stick around with the same players and have
brought in Tim Kelly for
Tim
Salt
Kelly.
Farm,
yeah.
And now they don't have any low or high draft picks in coming through the doors.
Yeah. Although to us in 2017, they did win a premiership after the extra time.
Yeah.
Mwah. It's beautiful.
That was great.
Now, lastly, shout out to Shah here now, one of our favourite Patreons. I'm going to be giving the Beryl and Cecil of the week to Damien Barrett this week because in his little sliding doors segment, he said, if Taylor Walker's time at the Crows is up after 14 seasons, then ... there will be bidders for 2023. For the last week, we've been talking about how there are clubs interested in him. Obviously.
How's this still a thing?
I don't know.
Like,
it's never good.
He's just literally moved into a brand spanking new house here. Like, he ain't going anywhere. And if he does, he'll probably just retire if we say at the end of the year, your time's up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a poor take on the sliding doors there because we've literally been talking about how there are teams interested. So,
yeah.
Is there really nothing else you could have come up with there? Or?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we're not planning on delisting him.
No.
I think if we did delist him, someone would offer him a contract. I hope we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, he's, a sort of heart and soul type player.
Amen.
And even though we're being sort of, very hard-headed business-like these days, with the Talias and the like.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You kind of need a level of sentiment as well. You need, because it's a club, not a franchise, as people like to say.
Yeah.
And you need to retain some semblance of that.
Yeah.
So I would be disappointed if that was the way it went, even though we're all aware that the longer he plays, the less you're developing another key forward.
Yeah. Amen. Now, next up It's the Benny Mac hour of power. It keeps going, and we've got the Benny and the bets as well. You got the teaser coming up. So we're doing. Ben runs a multi to raise some money for charity. And how much are we in the hole by?
Quite significantly.
You'll be begging the charity to give you money.
But we're bringing it back this week because we've had
to wear a barrel this week, weren't you? Anyway.
No, we bring it back this week because I've had a good week. So, we don't talk about it if I have a crap week. We don't plug that. But we've had a decent week despite our lock of the round going down as, the only one that we lost. But our best value bet was Collingwood to win 1-39. We got that up. Here comes a tick. There it is. Roughie of the week was Darcy Fogarty, most goals. He tied. Hey. We still get a payout for that.
Nice.
And the Crom multi, we had the Crows to win by 25 plus. Walker 2 goals. Fogarty 2 goals. Crouch 25 plus. And Keys 25 plus at 450, which landed. So a decent week. And if you want my full card of tips and what I'm looking at for the weekend, head over to patreon.com/Crowject, and I aim to get a video out every week.
Hell yeah. We're obliged to play this one. This is Elodie impersonating Marge.
Holy kinds of bad.
That's all of Elodie we've got this week. Anyway, we got our next game. Can we beat the bye? Well, holy crap, I hope so. But we've also got our mid-season special podcast coming up next week as well. What are we doing for that?
I think we're reviewing our very bold predictions.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it could be an embarrassing one next week.
Yeah, I picked us to finish 5th this year.
a little bit early on that one.
Where's the curb music? Yeah.
You were looking good for a bit.
Yeah, for a bit. We have to wait for the drop. There it is. Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, I'll be whipped next week, I reckon. But I guess that's it for us tonight.
Can't preview the next game.
We can't preview the next game if it don't exist. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to Tom Richardson for coming on the pod tonight.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
And I know you've got your tour of All Crows podcast as well. You've got Here We Crow that you're doing.
I am doing the podcast cavalcade this week. So, just warming up.
The TRT Tom Richardson tour is coming to you. So listen to Here We Crow coming later this week. But Tom, thank you so much for coming on the pod, and thank you so much for your tweets and also all your facts that you've been able to impart onto Ben as well for all things political too. It's getting through his last job. Leighton, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
My name's Peter. Go Crom.
Go Crom.
Go Crom.